Without vision, your teams are going to drift. People lose motivation, they focus on the short term, and they start to wonder if their work really actually matters. But with vision, you're going to give meaning to the mundane. Hey friends, welcome back to Created for This, the podcast for kingdom-minded leaders and entrepreneurs who want to live with bold faith, effective communication, and the kind of strategy that builds strong, purpose-driven teams. I'm your host, Julie Wagner, executive leadership coach, speaker, and a fellow traveler on the journey of building up people and purpose. So go ahead and grab your coffee, grab your journal, your Alani Nu like I have, or whatever helps you settle in. We're going to dive deep into this podcast today. Today, we're kicking off my brand new Victory Leadership Communication Series. This is a brand new framework that's designed to help you lead with high-level strategy and a whole lot of heart. And we're starting with the foundation, vulnerability and vision. I believe true connection requires courage, and the future absolutely demands clarity. As leaders, especially those who are faith-driven at work, we need to know what it looks like to lead with both heart and hope. Let's get kingdom clarity on how vulnerability and vision don't just coexist, but they actually fuel each other to inspire your team. Now, before we jump in, I have something special to share. If you're ready to take your leadership to the next level, registration opens soon for the Legacy Leadership Intensive. This is my signature coaching experience designed for leaders who want to communicate more effectively, build stronger teams, and create kingdom impact that truly lasts. Spots are limited, so if you're ready to invest in your growth and legacy, head to the link in the show notes to learn more and reserve your place today. Okay, let's be real for a moment here. Leadership is often misunderstood. We're told it's all about having the answers, walking into every room with unshakable confidence, and never showing any cracks. But I want to just be really honest and raw and real with you here. That version of leadership is exhausting, and frankly, it's ineffective. Here's the truth. Leadership isn't about having it all together. It's about being willing to go first. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's the ultimate display of strength. When you share a genuine challenge that you faced this year or a hard lesson that you've learned, you do two powerful things. Number one, you prove that you're human. And number two, you invite your team into a space of trust and authenticity. If you don't go first, your team will not go either. Let's talk why vulnerability is a non-negotiable. So Brené Brown, who is one of my absolute favorite authors and inspirational speakers, she always talks about vulnerability. And what she says is vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. But it's also the birthplace of trust. When you as a leader admit that you don't have it all figured out, you give your team permission to do the same. You foster psychological safety where people can bring their real selves, their real struggles, and their real ideas to the table. So let me tell you a little bit about something that's been happening with me this year. So earlier this year, I was stretched very thin. I tend to do that to myself as a type A personality who is also an Enneagram 8 wing 7. I was trying to scale my business, launch new programs, but still be present for my family, my team, my church, my employees. Like, it was getting so overwhelming. There were days where I wondered if I was dropping the ball everywhere. And I remember one team call where I finally just said to my entire team of 12 people, I'm feeling really overwhelmed and I'm not sure if I have all the answers to this next step, but I know that we're in this together. And do you know what? That admission didn't make me less of a leader. I think it made me more relatable. So after that, my team members were opening up about their own stress and ideas for support. And we wound up brainstorming a new workflow that actually brought relief to everyone, including me. Jesus modeled vulnerability. In the Garden of Gethsemane, he shared his anguish with his closest friends. He said, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow." He wasn't afraid to let others see his humanity. That is leadership with heart. Here's a leadership coaching moment that I'm going to challenge you to do sometime in the next couple weeks. When you start your next meeting, start it with a real moment. Share a challenge or a lesson that you've learned, big or small. And then I want you to ask your team, what's one thing you're finding really tough right now? I want you to listen, thank them for their honesty, and model empathy, not sympathy, empathy. And remember, vulnerability is not a leadership tactic. It's a leadership truth. So here is something to write down in your journal if you are journaling today, or just think about this and reflect on it. Where in your leadership are you tempted to hide your struggles right now? And then the next one is, who on your team needs to see your humanity this week? So once you've built trust through vulnerability, you have a powerful opportunity to cast vision that actually lands. Vision isn't just a mission statement on the wall. It's a story that you invite your team into. It's the why behind the work. It's the hope that pulls everyone forward, especially in uncertain times. And guys, we're at the end of the year. It's the end of Q4. We're stepping into December. It's uncertain times for many, many different companies, many different industries. And now is the time where we as leaders really have to step up. So let's talk about why vision matters. Without vision, your teams are going to drift. People lose motivation, they focus on the short term, and they start to wonder if their work really actually matters. But with vision, you're going to give meaning to the mundane. You anchor daily tasks in a bigger purpose. And here's some biblical insight on this. Jesus was the ultimate vision caster. He didn't just say, "Follow me." He said, "I will make you fishers of men." He painted a picture of a kingdom that would change the world and invited ordinary people into extraordinary purpose. Here's some practical framework if you're a leader. I want you to think about this. We're going to talk about 3 different C's right now: clarity, conviction, and connection. So the first is clarity. What does winning look like for you and your team in Q1? I want you to be specific. I want you to paint a picture that they can see, because we want to focus on ending Q4 strong, right? But we also want to make sure that we're looking and casting vision to Q1, Q2, and Q3. So the next is going to be conviction. Why does this vision matter for the kingdom, for your organization, for each person's growth? And the third, the last one, which I'll be honest is one of my favorite, is connection. How does each individual's role contribute to a bigger story? So instead of saying, let's hit our numbers next quarter, try this, okay? Imagine what it would mean if by March, not only our team met our goals, but we became a model of trust and encouragement for others in the organization. Or we became a model of how to close business, blow our numbers through the roof, and slay our sales goals. That would be encouragement to others in the organization. Friends, that is the legacy that we're building together. This is the type of verbiage you need to be using with your team to give them inspiration. And then I want you to do this as well. Invite God into your vision setting. Pray over your plans. Pray over your meetings before you have them and you speak to your team. Ask Him, what do you want me to do through this team in this next season? And friends, if you work in a workplace that is not biblically based, which I'm going to guess is probably the majority of people listening to this, that's okay. You don't have to pray with your team, but you can pray over your team in your prayer room. You can pray over your team and for your team in your private time. And before you have those meetings, before you step in and you can take a moment. So here's the next thing I want you to write in your journal. What's your why for the end of this quarter and going into next quarter? And how can you communicate that vision in a way that sparks excitement and hope? Okay, so here is your challenge for this upcoming week. Let's get practical and let's get intentional. So first, I want you to prepare. Before your next team interaction, I want you to set aside 10 minutes and write this down. One real challenge you faced this year and what God taught you through it. And then one clear, inspiring vision for what success looks like in Q4 and Q1 beyond just the numbers. Then I want you to share it. Go first. At your next meeting, open with your honest story and then cast your vision. Watch how your atmosphere shifts. Invite your team to share their hopes, their fears, their ideas, and their dreams for the new year. Listen deeply and listen intently. And then the last step, I want you to follow up, right? Make sure you put something in your calendar or in your journal where you're able to go back to it and follow up with what you did. But it's also nice to have others hold us accountable as well. So share it with someone that Maybe you have a mentor, or you have a very close friend or a very close work friend that you would like to share this with. Share it with them. And don't hesitate to journal about the impact of your vulnerability and vision casting this week. Talk about what changed in your team's energy, what changed in their trust. Has anything changed in their engagement? So I know this was a short podcast, but for the rest of this month, we're going to be going through the full Victory series. And so I'm very excited to share next week with you. But here's what I want you to remember today. Leadership is not about perfection. It's about showing up, going first, and inviting others into a bigger story. Remember, my friend, you were created for this. And if you're ready to go deeper into your leadership and communication, check out the Legacy Leadership Intensive. Link is in the show notes. If you found today's episode valuable, I would love if you took a moment to subscribe to Created for This podcast on whatever platform you're listening to, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite app. That way, you'll never miss an episode as we continue this series. And if this episode encouraged you, would you share it with a friend or a fellow leader, or even your team if you feel comfortable? Let's spread the encouragement and build up leaders together. I'll see you again next Monday. And until then, keep leading with courage, wisdom, and faith. Can't wait to see you guys next week.